What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the LA Soccer Hub Show. My name is Gio Garcia. Today's Monday, March 14th. We're going down March pretty quick. The LA Galaxy played a tough game against the Seattle Sounders. It was going to be tough, but it looked like it was a lot of self-inflicted wounds. We're going to dive deep into what went on with this game, but first, I'm going to invite and welcome my guest once again, Alex Ruiz from Total Galaxy. How you doing, Alex?
Hey Gio, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Pretty good, man. Eventful weekend, lots of soccer going on. It was a Saturday, but yeah, I had a great time. I know there was a lot of things going on with this Alex Galaxy game, but yeah, what about you? What'd you end up doing this weekend?
Just watching soccer most of the time. Went out for a bit, going to the park and stuff. Baseball's back, so I went to the park with my brother, go play baseball for a bit to kind of celebrate it. So that was pretty cool, and pretty much what I did this weekend.
Yeah, well, you're a big Dodger fan or what?
Yeah, I'm a big Dodgers fan. I mean, I'm not gonna say like I've been a Dodgers fan for like forever because I never really got into baseball till like maybe 2, 3 years ago.
Oh, really?
You know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's exciting that it's back. It's unfortunate that it came with so many different I don't know, baseball is weird like that with the ownership and all these different things. But yeah, I'm excited to be going to the games this
Yeah, I
season.
just found it funny
But
that the lockout was longer than Tom Brady's retirement, which is another topic that was pretty cool this weekend.
by the way, Ronaldo's over here eventually. I feel like Cristiano Ronaldo, motivated Tom Brady to come back.
I mean,
Did
he
you get the
must
same
have. He scored a
sense?
hat trick at 37.
Hat trick
He's
at
and then
37.
Tom was like, "All right, now I got to try to do this on the field. This time the gridiron field." So
Yeah, it was interesting that Tom Brady posted that video of him when Ronaldo asked him, he's like, "So you're done?" And he's like, he does the thing, and then the
yeah,
next day he comes out with the video, or he comes out with the Instagram post. I didn't feel Tom Brady was gonna be done, but it's
not yet.
cool. It's cool to see the crossover when you have uh, elite, soccer players, elite football players, from two different worlds come together and talk or admire each other's game. I always feel like that's pretty cool. Um, I'm not a big Patriots fan. I never was, but I do respect what Tom Brady has done in his career, and I think it's always cool when you have that crossover. What are your thoughts on the crossover?
I mean, it's always fun because you're getting both fan bases together, right? Like, I love the NFL, I love, soccer. So it was great to see those two meet up, especially two greats of the game in Ronaldo and Brady. So it's always great to, kind of see like when NBA players or soccer players throw out the first pitch at like a baseball game. That's always pretty cool to see because either they do really good or they really mess up really bad. And that's mostly what's pretty funny. But yeah, it's just great to see all these sports kind of cross over and, just great to see, also the investment too, because LeBron James he's invested in Liverpool, so that's pretty cool too, in my opinion. I'm a Liverpool fan, so I think that's pretty dope.
Yeah, no, I really like that. Hopefully, we'll get to see more of these. Maybe we see Cristiano Ronaldo come to Tampa Bay Buccaneers game or something like that. It'd be pretty cool to see those guys come out and support as well. Um, let's talk about this Galaxy game, Alex. It was a tough one. Like I said, I felt it was like a very self inflicted wounds. It started off great, to go ahead the first goal in like the first 6 minutes, but just too many mistakes overall that really hurt themselves. And this is a Seattle Sounders team that during the regular season in the first two games, I don't think they had won a game. They've been struggling. They're out with Raul Rui Diaz and Nicolas Lodero. And so they were out with two DPs, and I feel like this was a great opportunity for the LA Galaxy to not only get a win, but get a win on the road and a win in Seattle. It started off great, but obviously it did not go the Galaxy's way. What were all or your overall thoughts on the LA Galaxy in this game?
It was just a bunch of missed chances and opportunities, really. I mean, they dominated most of the game. They had a lot of the possession. I think 60% in the first half. And the first half was, I would say, the Galaxy's best half of the game. They created a lot. There was a lot of off-ball movement, which is what you want to see in this team, like Kevin Cabral, Douglas Costa, Efrain Alvarez, kind of moving around the pitch, creating spaces for themselves and their teammates. But ultimately, it was kind of just the clumsiness at the back when it came to set pieces. I guess you can kind of look at it on the bright side and say the Galaxy haven't conceded a goal in open play. But I think it feels worse when you concede goals on set pieces, especially since it's a dead ball situation. But overall, this is kind of a game where the Galaxy just shot themselves in the foot. Basic things that should have been done better. Julian Rajo giving away kind of dumb penalty, and then at times defensively he just wasn't at it this game. So just a work in progress for sure for the team, and a lot of things to take notes on and improve on and work on practice. So I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise for Vanny to be able to see, okay, my team needs to work better at set pieces. We need to defensively on our outside backs work better on our positioning, because I thought Raheem and Julian were both kind of in weird positions when defending. And also, too, this midfield, I think, still needs some more time to gel, because you're having Victor Vasquez, Efrain Alvarez come in and out of the lineup as well. So I think there's some getting to know how there, especially considering Marky Delgado is the new piece in the midfield. So I think there's still a little bit more time this Galaxy team needs to gel with to become a legit team. But so far, they didn't go without a fight, and that's something you want to see, because last year the Galaxy were in the situation where 2 games in, one surprised everybody, went to Seattle, lost 3-0. This time, same situation, but they fought back, able to score twice, and that's something you want to see. And that's the little progression things that I think Greg Vanny is really smiling about, even though they still lost this game.
Yeah, I think more of on the thing is the frustration of just being better, cleaner defensively. I think that's the biggest thing, because I think even Greg Vanny said at the start of the year, if they can defend, this team can go really really far. But unfortunately, if they can't, you saw what happened on Saturday, which is unfortunate. I do want to talk about Chicharito's goal. He started things off great. I think this is like it was like the perfect start from the LA Galaxy, and we'll play the
The
goal.
ball, he has the assist on each of the 2 Galaxy goals so far this year. Edwards driving in, cuts it through, and a chance now for Chicharito to put it in the roof of the net. 5 minutes gone, and the Galaxy have the lead in Seattle.
Well, you're going to see the running off the ball here from Raveloson from midfield. It completely opens the game up as the Sounders and Edwards.
So I thought that was an amazing play. Raheem Edwards giving that pass to Ralverson, was very key. I think we're starting to see how good of a passer Raheem really is. I didn't really see this with the LAFC because he was all over the place, but I thought it was he's been very effective with his passing, and I think they credit him with the assist, which it should not been to him. It should have been to Ralverson. But overall, it was a great play. They gave it to Chicharito. Chicharito does what he does in the 6 yard box, puts it away. Like I said earlier, it was a perfect start, dream start, and that's what you want, right? That's what you want from players like Raheem that we're starting to see that is an actual threat. What were your overall thoughts on the play and the goal?
I mean, it was great. Like I mentioned earlier, the off-ball movement in the first half was really good, and Ravelison's off-ball movement was incredible. I mean, you see him getting up the pitch. He basically created that space for himself, gave Chicharito space as well, and look what happens. Great goal, like you said, Raheem. Great pass, and it's great to see have a left back who's really technically gifted, makes some great passes, because for most of his career he's been playing higher up the pitch like a left winger or left midfielder. So he still has those qualities of passes in him. Obviously, still needs some work on the defensive end, but if you're Vandy, you want to keep asking for Ryan Raveloson to keep going higher up the pitch. I mean, look what happened. He created a goal scoring opportunity. He got an assist, even though Raheem got the assist, which is kind of weird. But nonetheless, you can see what he do. You can see what he does if he plays higher up the field, if he makes those runs, if he becomes aggressive. And I think Greg Vandy this week has to preach that, especially going into opponent like Orlando this week. I think he's got to ask for Raveloson to make those runs. Don't be scared to go forward, because you have Marky Delgado behind you who's great at covering space and cutting out passing lanes. So if I'm Greg Vanny, that's my one thing I'm working on in training this week.
Yeah, not just having Robinson, but I would also add on to Efrain Alvarez, also being a little bit more assertive in that midfield, because you have so many different pieces, depending how Victor Vasquez is, But I would agree with you. Yeah, definitely having Ravelson push up a little bit more and getting a little maybe creative in the midfield there, because they definitely do have those opportunities. They definitely do have the players like Ravelson that create those opportunities. And if Raheem continues to do this, then he's going to be able to find Chicharito. We see how Douglas Costa is able to find him on the other side, but now you have two guys that can find and feed him the ball. And I would agree with you. The first half passing from the Galaxy, they had all the possession. Unfortunately, when you give up, set piece goals and all these fouls, you're not it's hard to look at the bright side, right? It's hard to really see what happened. And I do want to show some of the not so good things of this game. And we got to talk about the set piece defending. It was pretty bad. It's probably the worst I've probably seen it in a while with the LA Galaxy. But yeah, we're gonna turn into the first goal. I know it's gonna be brutal, but we have to watch this.
He was a best 11 selection in his outswinging ball. Well, Dog got a piece. Morris with the seat of his pants. It's across the line. The Sounders have tied it up. Jordan Morris, his first MLS goal in a year and
And
a
I think
half.
this comes from one of the first
He had
corner
assists from
kicks.
set pieces last year.
And we'll just pause it right there. The set piece defending, I can't believe it was that bad. Whether I don't know if they just had a bad game or it was off. And unfortunately, who was caught off there was Jonah Araujo. He obviously did not have his best game, and you don't expect these type of games from Jonah Araujo. Um, you whatever you could either put the blame on him. I think he'd be the first guy to tell you that he did not have the good game and he expects better of himself. So I don't expect Jonah Araujo to have these type of games moving forward. But it's just unfortunate that that one, and then obviously the penalty that he caused right before the half. I think those are just mistakes that you can't have moving forward. Look, he has one bad game. Okay, I think you're able to live with that, but I just think moving forward, you can't have the consistency of the set piece defending and also committing penalties when it's right before. Well, it was right before the second
Yeah,
half, or
right before halftime.
right before halftime, and he wasn't getting to that ball. So either I don't know if he got enough sleep or what the issue was, but he really had a bad game. What were your thoughts on the set piece defending and obviously Araujo committing some of the fouls or
Yeah,
committing the foul?
just yeah, I mean, going into this game, right? The storyline main topic was this Galaxy defense, hasn't conceded a goal yet, hasn't broken down, it hasn't looked as vulnerable as it has the last couple of years. And then you have a game like this where, the underbelly is just super visible and sensitive when it comes to the topic of set pieces. I mean, there was really horrendous defending overall, not just one player, but the whole unit as a whole, and that back line and some of the midfield. There's just no communication, really. I mean, and the game-winning goal for Seattle, I mean, Nick DePuy is on somebody else while Chicharito is marking him, and it's just that lack of communication that still needs to be there. And I will say the Galaxy haven't played Derek Williams any meaningful minutes yet, and I think Williams easily slots in for DePuy at the moment. So I think the set piece defending is going to get better. Right now, I don't really see it as a concern, but again, if it starts to trend where this Galaxy defense can't really, control themselves when it comes to set pieces or communicate with each other well when it comes to set pieces, then it's going to be a real long season. But so far, I think Derek Williams is going to be a big help. He's a big physical body. He's very loud in like a good way, communicating with the back line, communicating with the midfielders. When I went to games last year, I always see him, shouting at somebody, telling them where to be positioned at. And I think they're missing that leadership in the back line. And once Williams comes in, I think they're going to be a lot tighter and a lot better. And I think Williams is going to be a big part of this team's positioning and overall just getting better as a unit as the season progresses.
Yeah, you mentioned a great point about Derek Williams being that vocal leader, because it just seemed that game that everybody was pointing fingers at each other like, oh, you should have been there, this and that. I'm like, yeah, you guys should just have this figured out. But it's like it was odd just looking at them point fingers at each other, because I don't know, I don't recall them being this bad at set piece defending last year, and a team going second year in. I think hopefully they're able to look at the film. It's not going to be pretty, but see where the mistakes are and see where one player or the other player should have been, because these type of mistakes they can't happen if you want to be an elite club, right? You have all these players. I'd say two of the three goals were from set pieces, and you don't want that to be your Achilles heel when you have such a solid veteran squad that set pieces are going to hurt you, because you can commit a foul like they did, or you can have that corner kick, and even in the third goal, the foul that they committed just outside the 18, that turned into the third goal, the game winning goal, which is unfortunate. I think they just got to be cleaner. They definitely got to look at the tape, what went wrong, and look. If you want to be an elite team, you got to be able to put away teams like the Sounders. If not, teams like the Sounders, even without two or three DPs, are going to punish you, and you're going to walk away with no points. The Galaxy should have won this game if we're going to be honest. But when you commit those self-inflicted wounds, when you're not that clean, and you commit these mistakes in the back, there's no way you're going to win in Seattle or in Portland or in Nashville, wherever you go, if you want to be a couple of the top 4 teams. I guess the good thing is, Alex, that it's early, third game in. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? That's something they can clean up and and figure it out. But if it was like, I think more concern would be I'd be more concerned if this consistently starts to happen. But if this is just a one bad game defensing, we know the Galaxy are not that, or they're not the strong suit is not defending, right? We attacking in the midfield. That's where a little bit stronger. But if they're able to come together and limit these mistakes, I think this team can do some damage, but there's no way this team is going to go far if they play how they played defensively on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, earlier, like previewing the season, we were talking about, the Galaxy team, they want to be successful. Their offense has to take over their defense. They have to kind of outscore their opponents. And this was the perfect example of a game where that can go totally wrong when you're playing so well. Because, like you mentioned, the Galaxy should have won this game. They created more chances. They had, a lot of opportunities to get into dangerous places. Cabral had a shot that hit the post. Efrain Alvarez almost recreated his goal against Charlotte in this game, which is I was going to lose my mind if that happened. But there were opportunities where it was so close, just that final third pass, touch, shot just wasn't there. And the Galaxy, yeah, their defense is getting better, but at the same time, you got to make sure that the offense as well as it's as offense is getting better, you want to hope that the defense doesn't regress because it feels like the defense has to be doing good, but the offensive end of the team just kind of isn't there yet. And we saw that the first two games against New York and Charlotte, where the offense, yeah, they were all right, just nothing lethal in their final product while the defense was holding it down. So you kind of hope that it's not the story of this defense is going to be kind of whack and then the offense is going to be really good. So I'm kind of hoping the Galaxy can just find a good balance between those two because, balance is key for everything in life.
Yeah, no, it is. Look at you, Sensei, over here with the balance quotes.
Sensei Reese.
Um, yeah, you definitely don't want to Yeah, I'm with you. They got to be balanced. You can't be so good offensively and the opposite, be bad defensively because it's just not. There's no way this team is gonna go far. But I just will look at this game and be like, okay, you give them one bad game defensively, and then you kind of just see what happens the next game because games like this, like it's more of like it's more of like the type of teams you do this right against the Sounders, you're gonna get punished. But if you start doing this against an Orlando or a Cincinnati or something like that, it starts to you're like, okay, what is really going on here? So I don't by no means I don't think you should panic, but you should acknowledge that they played poor defensively, and I don't think you should lose faith in Joe Araujo, even though he had a lot of the mistakes. I think he's definitely going to learn, and he's going to have to play a little bit cleaner. And hey, look, this is something I think he expects of himself. I don't think he's looking at that game or walking away from that game happy or anything. And I know how much he puts on himself. So I think this is just a game he could look at, he and the Galaxy can look at and just move past it because there's 31 other games remaining this year. So you can't hold your head down on one game. You know what I'm saying? And they played all outside of those mistakes, they played pretty solid. So we'll see what happens. And then
Yeah, I mean, he kind of picked the wrong time to have a bad game because the Mexican national team roster drops this week, and I think he'll still make it, but you kind of don't want to be in some bad form heading into a crucial, World Cup qualifying window right now because this is the last window for CONCACAF. We're gonna find out if the U.S. makes World Cup, Mexico makes the World Cup, and what other nations make the World Cup. So I think it was kind of bad time to have a bad game, but I think he's still gonna get a call up for the national team.
yeah, I expect him to still get called up for the Mexican national team. I don't think that necessarily puts him out. Ed Velasquez says we also have Savaleta as center back now. That's a great point. Salvadorian. So I know a lot of people are excited. How you feel about the Savaleta signing?
I like it. To be honest, I like it. Veteran presence. He's won a championship. He has, a personal and professional relationship with, Coach Vanny. And, in his introductory press conference, he said, wherever me and Greg have been, we've won. And he's not wrong. He spent a lot of time in Toronto, and, that team was maybe arguably probably the greatest MLS team of all time. And I think, he's going to bring some experience, he's going to mentor the young guys. He mentioned that too in the press call. He was like, yeah, I want to help out Jalen Neal, help him develop as well. And I think overall, he's just a good veteran presence to have. He's been in the league for a while. And, he's not going to ask to start every game because you have your starters. And I think, if he'll play here and there if there's a midweek game or for the US Open Cup. But I think the signing of Zavaleta probably shuts the door on the Sergio Ramos rumors from a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it's better off. Jeffrey Sosa says, simply put, work better on set pieces and cut out the mistakes. I believe Williams will elevate our defense over Sega. Yeah, I mean it's a lot simpler said than done, but I think this is a veteran team. I think you just expect everybody expects more out of this team. I do want to talk about Douglas Costa. He got his first goal, man. It was deflected, but it was good to see him wanting to take the set piece and it went in. So let's play the goal.
Chicharito walks away. Douglas Costa off a deflection. The Galaxy have tied the game.
And it's a deflection off the wall that's going to take this pass from Fry. And I'm interested to see here because Alan Chapman came over.
That was an amazing set piece. I know it was deflected, but I think for me, every game you're starting to see more and more of the attributes that Douglas Costa has. You're starting to see all the tools in his toolbox. We saw the passing. We saw how flashy he is with his feet and how he moves, how quick he is. And now we're seeing the set pieces, right? Um, I've been very impressed. I know it's 3 games in. There was a lot of questions if he can stay healthy and all these things. I think those questions are still there. But overall, 3 games in, he's looked good. He's done everything. He's committed. He even pointed at the badge when he scored at the goal. Players typically don't do that unless they actually believe in the team. So it's good to see him that he's bought in. And another thing is that Galaxy responded right away in the second half. I think it was like the 48th minute. Responded right away. So you're able to see like, okay, how quickly they're able to bounce back and score on the other teams. But what do you think of the set piece?
Yeah, I find it weird MLS is going to credit him with a goal, but hey, I'm not complaining. I think it's great for Douglas's confidence. I mean, there's going to be a lot of weight on him as well. I mean, everybody's talking about him. If you follow the Galaxy, you want him to succeed because he's supposed to be that final piece this team needs to elevate to a championship level. And while so far it's a really small sample size of 3 games, it's pretty positive to see he's progressing game by game. Against New York, wasn't shy to get on the ball, was comfortable on the ball. Against Charlotte, you saw his class. He was great picking out passes. The weight of the passes he has was amazing. And, you can't really teach that to many other players. And then this game here, you kind of see the shiftiness, the ability, they call him Flash for a reason. And you're seeing little flashes, no pun intended, of that in the game. So I think this game against Orlando could be a kind of a breakout game. I'm going to predict it might be a breakout game where he gets a couple goals or a couple of assists, either or. So I think he's really starting to learn the team a little bit better because remember, he never got to play a preseason game with the team, only training. That's all he could do during the preseason. So he's slowly getting there. He's slowly getting match fit. And I think, like you said, the question of can he stay healthy for the whole year and will he be committed for a whole year is still up there in the air, and it's going to take time for us to really answer those questions for the season. But so far, if you're a Galaxy fan, you gotta love what you're seeing from Douglas Costa right now because he's providing quality that I think Jonathan Dos Santos, although they don't play the same position, I don't think Jonathan Dos Santos brought this type of quality that Douglas Costa has.
Yeah, no, it is very, very elite with the passing. Obviously, the set piece and everything, and it's just a different energy when he's on the ball. Because every time he touches the ball, I'm literally like, "What is he gonna do?" Because I know it's gonna be elite. It's gonna be spectacular. I think also onto that, they're playing at home. He doesn't have to play on turf. He's played back-to-back games on turf, and you're gonna be in the grass, so the ball's not gonna go as fast. But it's also gonna be it's gonna be better overall for him. I'm with you. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a breakout game, either 2 goals or two. Because now he's getting into the flow of things. He's a very smart player. And that's one thing you notice right away. He understands the game right away. He understands what he needs to do or where he needs to be and stuff. I was a little surprised that he left. I forgot what time. It was like the 60th minute when he got subbed out. Maybe he was gassed, or maybe they had like a time limit on him on how many minutes he was going to play. But I was very surprised because he was kind of affecting the game, and I think Victor Vasquez came in for him, right?
Yes,
I
he
think
did. Yeah, he came in.
Victor Vasquez came in for him, so I was surprised for how early he went off because I felt like he still had a little bit a little bit of gas left in his tank to provide, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Um, let's talk about Efrain Alvarez because he almost had another spectacular back-to-back similar goal that he did against Charlotte. He's probably like an inch away of replicating that goal. I feel like Efrain Alvarez,
A breeze away.
yeah, I feel like Efrain Alvarez is amazing with his talent. I just felt like he could have been if he was more assertive. He or demand, you know how when Victor Vactus came into the game, he demanded the ball goes to him, or I feel like Efrain Alvarez should be doing the same thing. And maybe he's not as vocal or whatever, but he has that type of talent. And I feel like we didn't really see too much of Efrain Alvarez until the last 20 minutes of the game, until he had that one shot. But I feel like if he's more assertive, he's going to get more of those opportunities. What are your thoughts, Alex?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nail. I mean, I like to compare Vasquez and Efrain when it comes to the technical abilities, but they're not the same player. When Vasquez is on the ball, players are going to run into spaces because they know he can pinpoint a pass and put it on the breadbasket for the players. But with Efrain, I think it's a little bit more different where the players won't run as much, trying to get the ball. I feel like he's very possessive of the ball, and I don't want to say he's very regressive at times, but he's not going to be as aggressive when it comes to lofting a through ball over the back line like Victor Vasquez likes to do. Or I don't think he's the type of player to take that much risk yet. I think he's still really concerned, not only because
I
he's
will, well,
like
I
a
will
French.
say, well, I will say, sorry to interrupt, but he had a couple passes into the box that I don't think Samuel Grandsir made the run or anything like that. But I feel like he has the same type of quality when it comes to his passing. When Victor
Yeah, yeah.
Vasquez,
I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm just saying that there still needs to be a confidence level within himself and his teammates as well. Because with
yeah,
Victor, he's older. He has the experience. He has the merits. you know, Last year we really saw that on display where he can create chances, lift the ball over here and there. And I feel like with Efra, they're still in a way kind of really trying to learn to play with him because again, he doesn't really get that many minutes. He's not really a starter. He's on the fringe of being, the first guy off the bench or, the first guy at the number 10 spot for this Galaxy team. So I think it's kind of hard for him to kind of be aggressive. And, if he has a lot of passes over the top and let's say, a player doesn't make a run or it's not spot on, then I feel like he feels like he's going to risk his starting spot, which again I think
I
Manny's
would
going to give him
actually
the.
want. I think I would actually want him to do that. I mean, Andy has 100% of his stock on the Efrain Alvarez hype train. You see him posting there, making a stop in Carson this week, and he's always welcome. Um, I feel like Efrain needs to go all out and just be more assertive, yell more for the ball, demand the ball. Because I saw him at this game. I don't recall what time during the game he had his hands up, like he was open, but obviously we're not on the field or anything, but I don't know if he was yelling for the ball. I just reading the body language, it seemed like he expected the ball, but the ball wasn't getting to him. And I feel like he is so talented that he's more vocal and he's more demanding of the ball because he's that talented. I think maybe things will change, but I'm with you. It's maybe it's a confidence thing on him, and maybe it's a confidence thing on his teammates. But when he scores such a spectacular goal like that, and he's almost replicates it, I feel like that you just you sometimes it's because he disappears in the game and then he'll do something like that. You're like, oh damn, yeah, I forgot. You know what I'm saying? So I think he needs to keep reminding people like, give me the ball. I can do special things with the ball. I just think that just comes down to him.
Yeah, I think just for Ephraim, because we know he has the talent. It's just about you got to be assertive in your decision making. Don't flinch, just go for it. Be aggressive at times. And I think the one thing that's really going to help Ephraim if he wants to be a starter, if he wants to really grow his stock, and he's still young and wants to venture at Europe, he's got to be vocal, whether it be on the field, in practice. He's got to tell his teammates, look, make that run and I will pass it to you. Be assertive, be confident, and that's going to go a long way in making sure that not only does he progress, but this team as a whole progresses.
No, I definitely agree. Let's finish off with this. You mentioned it. LA Galaxy are at home this Saturday against Orlando City. It's a 12:30 game. What do you expect out of the LA Galaxy this Saturday?
Look, Orlando lost to Cincinnati, so I'm not gonna like take it like it's everything, but at the same time, this team is vulnerable at times. I think Douglas Costa can really have a good game here. I think just him progressing slowly and slowly, building with the team here. I think he's going to have a great game. I think this has to be a game for Cabral where he's got at least assist or something. He didn't do that against Seattle. He hasn't done it so far in the year. And just overall, he hasn't been as impactful on the left-hand side. And I think we need to see some flashes, whether it be, him creating chances or, him giving Chicharito a shot in the box, him going for it. I just think there needs to be something in this game for him to do to help this Galaxy attack, because Chicha's doing work, Costa's slowly doing work. Cabral, we haven't seen anything so far, nothing of significance. At least with Costa, you're seeing him, while he's slowly getting into match fitness, you're seeing him progress the ball. You're seeing him, switch the ball from side to side to give Cabral space. I think Costa's really helped Cabral out, because the way Costa switches the ball from, one side of the pitch to the other, it gives Cabral not only advantage when it comes to going one-on-one, but just really refreshes him and, gives him a shot to really show his talent and be able to help the team. Also, too, we got to see the set piece defending again. Is it going to be improved? Will we see Derek Williams play this game? I don't know. I think he might start this game. I won't be at the media call, so Gio, you can ask him for me if we'll see if Williams starts. But overall, I think this is going to be a game where the Galaxy need to take some notes from Seattle and just apply it, do better against Orlando, because I think Orlando as a team really aren't functioning to their full potential, because a player in Orlando I really like, Facundo Torres. I think, he's not playing well right now, but if he gets going, he's going to be a beast in this league.
No, you make great points. I'm with you on the Cabral point, and I'm with you on the set piece defending, because this is a perfect game to bounce back from, because the next two you got at Portland in the Timbers, and then you got El Tráfico back at home. So this is the game to get back into it and fix and try to clean up all those things. But Alex, that's all the time we have. I appreciate you being on, guys. Give us a minute, and we'll switch things over. All right, and we're back where we have JP Marcus joining us and Andy Diosa, who is now the biggest supporter of Real Madrid, because after what they did to PSG, my goodness. Do you have the Mbappe shirt? I got to ask you, Andy.
Nah, man. I definitely don't have no PSG shirts, but you do have to give some credit to my dedication to this soccer jersey thing that I've been doing for this podcast, man. Every time I'm on here, it's a new one. I'm dedicated. I'm under the collection.
Man, you got some money, bro. I want to be like you when I grow up and be able to afford all these jerseys, man. How do you do it? How do you do it, man? Tell me.
Can't give the secrets on air. I'll talk to you on time, man.
JP, how you doing? You don't have a jersey on? You got the jersey on?
My I can't copy Andy though. That's Andy's thing. I got my jerseys, but Andy got that's Andy's thing on this show.
Look, no one needs to one up anybody, but what I'm saying, because clearly Andy's leading the way. I'm over here just struggling, recycling the same jerseys, because that's all I can afford. I'm sorry, that's the budget.
I feel it.
Let's obviously we're here to talk LAFC. It was a very interesting week. It was down in Miami. It was a good game for LAFC to bounce back after a tough Portland Timbers 1-1 game. A lot of the questions going in, there was a lot of injuries, right? Would we see Carlos Vela start, right? Chiqui Palacios, Escobar, and all these different things. The main thing was Vela got the start, and I think that was very exciting. JP, what were your overall thoughts on this game against Miami?
It was just a grind fest. One could argue that last season LAFC would have lost this game or draw points at this game. You have three different men in the back line. You try basically a completely new back line. Vela returns. You have Opoku instead of Chicho in. So there's some rotations there. And the team ultimately, got 3 points, grinded it out, and found the back of the net twice, and off a deflection in the goal, and then off a free kick that nobody touches. So was it the prettiest game? Was it the nicest game? No, but in MLS you just have to grind through wins, especially on the road.
Yeah, no, and I think, and they definitely did that. It was windy, it was rainy, it had all those different elements into it, and you had a 32-52 rocking, which I think is always amazing that you get to see when they travel and able to make that amount of noise. And what were your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, JP said it. It's a difficult game always going across the country and playing somewhere that's difference in obviously time zones. I mentioned it earlier in the week that this was the earliest game LAFC is going to play. It was a 10:30 Pacific time start, and to not to use it much as an excuse, but if you think about the players and routines and things like that, it definitely throws you off when you're playing a game that's that early. So going into it, that was already one thing, and then obviously the weather was very Florida. It was peak Florida weather where you didn't know what was going to happen within the 5-10 minutes. But Cherundolo said after the game, like it is what it is. We still have to control those elements, and I think that for the most part, LAFC was able to do so. And at the end of the day, like JP said, you gotta grind out wins on the road in this league. There's a pretty good argument to be had that maybe a LAFC team last year would have struggled in that condition in those elements, but they got it done. And anything else is secondary to the fact that they flew back west with 3 points.
Yeah, no, I think it was big because also Miami was struggling. They got smacked around last weekend, and I feel like they actually played a decent game. They made it very difficult for LAFC in the first half because if it wasn't for that deflection of Carlos Vela's pass to Mahala, I thought it was, honestly, to be honest with you, it was kind of a boring first half. There wasn't too much. There wasn't really too many opportunities, and then it was good to see obviously Mahala get his goal because he got the start over I believe Chicho, right? So he get the start. He's getting the start, so he's going to be the guy whether Vela is available or Chicho's not, whatever happens. And I think that's good to see. And also I think it's good to see because we've been seeing him in preseason taking shots, and I think he's been wanting to get this goal, and you see how excited he was. So we're gonna play the goal.
Poku sprinting in, now in the box, has an opportunity, left foot, back of the net. 45th minute, the 20-year-old from Ghana has put the visitors on the board, 1-0.
They took advantage of some miscommunication there between the midfielders and the defenders from Inter Miami. There's a deflection there. Breakshade turns the other way, and it leaves Opoku all alone inside the 18. And he did what he was supposed to do there, Bruce.
So I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. He put it away. JP, what are your thoughts on Mahala getting his first goal and finally getting that monkey off his back?
Yeah, I mean, we saw it in the first preseason game against the Revs. He definitely wanted a goal. He was being a bit selfish in a preseason game, which is fine. It's a preseason game. Get all the touches you can. But he has energy, man. He has energy. In this game, you saw it, and in the minutes he's been getting, you've seen it. And finally being able to score has been great. Vela tries to get a ball to Sifu, and it gets deflected. So it wasn't even like a full play that LAFC developed. But you still get Opoku to get on it, and puts it in the back of the net off a deflection or whatever. But he was there. He had his eyes on goal and puts it in the back of the net. So it's great for him, great for his confidence, and for Dolo to see that he can produce when given minutes.
Yeah, and I think to me he's definitely that guy, and it's gonna be tough, right? Because if he starts doing these things, and let's say Vela and Chicho are on point, or if not, I think he's gonna come off the bench. But if we say Vela and Chicho are on, then he has a real shot at potentially taking that starting role from Brian Rodriguez if Brian Rodriguez is not able to produce like this. But I think we're a long way from that conversation right now because I still believe Brian Rodriguez, Chicho Arango, and Carlos Velez. To me, you would put those starters unless Mahala keeps making noise like this. Then you're going to be Dolo's going to be put in a situation that he may have to drop one of them. Andy, what are your thoughts on Mahala?
I think Mahala, for the opportunities that he's had, even going in the past, he's definitely taken advantage. Obviously that CCL goal stands out, but for me, the thing is what JP said. He brings a certain energy that it reminds me a bit of Latif Blessing in the early days, where he's just a constant motor. And I think that's the one thing that's super impressive about Mahala is he's nonstop. And for a team that controls so much possession, that kind of plays that type of football, I think for him being that guy that's always making runs into the boxes and looking for those opportunities, it's huge to have somebody like that, whether or not he's coming off the bench or he's starting. I've talked to you about what I think about Chicho. I think he just came back from Colombia a little out of shape and is not fit. I don't necessarily believe that he was injured. So it's good that Mahala got the start. And I think it opens up a bigger point about this team being deep enough that they're able to do those rotations on the road. But in terms of the game, it's like he scores right before halftime, which obviously hurts for a team. And then like a minute later, Breck Shea gets the red card and gets tossed. So now Miami's going into halftime with their head down because of the goal. And then the red card, it's like it's super hard to bounce back from that. And I will give Phil Neville and Miami credit. They actually played decent in that second half, a man down, and really took it to LAFC for, I feel like, a majority of that first half of that second half. So it was a really tricky game, really weird game. But at the end of the day, having a player like Mahala be an option is incredible. And I tweeted this during the game, which is to me is something that it's kind of important to see that Mahala really was a Bob Bradley guy. We have to remember that. Like that was his guy. He wanted him there. He kind of like helped him grow little by little. And I think quickly Cherundolo is going to be like, hey, this is my guy too. Because if you remember what Steve said coming in, he's like, we're going to make our decisions based on who had the best preseason and who's playing the best. So he's not necessarily falling into that routine of we're just going to start the guys that we think should be starting because of name or whatever the case may be. And if you give a player like that chances and he contributes with a goal and energy and little things around the field, then it's a great thing to see. So I think for him at that age, after the game, he was very happy to speak. You could tell how excited he was to score and stuff like that. So all good signs for Opoku to have that contribution for them.
Yeah, no, I love Mahala's energy. His energy is just unmatched, and he is so effective whether he's on the ball or not. You just know what you're gonna get out of him regardless. And I think for me last year, before he got the knee injury, he was very important for LAFC when Carlos Vela went down for a couple months, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, they dropped him back to the lights, and that's where he picked up the injury. But to me, I do see Mahala being a starter in this league. And I think Shono has a problem. It's a good problem, when Mahala is doing that, because I think it's just it's going to elevate everybody else's game. To me, that, like I said, right now, Brian Rodriguez, Chicho, and Vela are the starters. But if Mahala continues to do this while Chicharrongo is getting back, working at things, and maybe we see Vela, I don't know. Hopefully, you hope Vela is healthy. But if Mahala continues to do this, whether it's off the bench or he starts, he is one of the most important players for LAFC. He's an X factor, and I'm with you. I think he is just like Latif Blessing a couple years. He bring in that energy and he has that type of motor. And I think it's very special they have a player like that is really ready to do anything any given time, because he can really change the game for you at any moment. I do want to talk about the other player, Ishmael, who he also got this goal. I know he was just a couple minutes in. It was a weird game. It was a weird game with the weather and all these different things. But what I'm noticing so far of this LAFC team from last year is they're winning the games they should be winning, and they're not losing at home. And look, it's 3 games in, but to me, it's already a complete different energy. I don't know, even being in the press calls and everything like that. To me, I sense a completely different LAFC team just 3 games in. And I know that's a small sample size, and I don't want to get too crazy here, but to me, this is already a completely different team. JP?
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that the team started, in a similar way. You beat Austin, you tie to Seattle, and then you tie to Houston. And Houston was an easy game on paper, winnable. This is Inter, a winnable game on paper, and they did it, especially on the road. They're just pulling away with points that last season just wasn't happening. I don't know if that's the team, the depth of the roster, Dolo, Tolo's ideas, but it's just clicking for the team. It feels different. They look different, and you have 2 clean sheets, one on the road and one at home. So you can't really ask for a better start. Dolo makes the subs at the right times, or he makes the right subs, maybe not at the right time. Maybe he can make some sooner, give players more minutes. But so far, so good. Ismail, I mean, we got him on a steal from Charlotte. Charlotte could really be using him right now, but they traded him to us. And he's an MLS Cup winner. He just won it with New York City. So he knows the tribulations of an MLS season. He's an experienced guy in the league, and he can definitely help the locker room, or even Opoko, who plays his position, how to develop in this league.
Yeah, lots of options. Andy, I'm gonna play this goal, and I want your thoughts on it.
And that is going to find the back of the net. Went right on it, and he puts it in the back of the net to Jory Shardy in the 82nd minute. He only checked into the game in the 70th. 2-0 LAFC.
Yeah, Neopet's wondering what happened. Who missed the target? Nobody touched the ball.
Went.
So obviously, I didn't get to watch a lot of Ismail last season because obviously he played at NYCFC. He is an MLS Cup winner. He scored off a set piece. I'm assuming this is something he could provide off his arsenal. But I'm saying I feel that was more luck than anything because it looked more of a cross than a goal. But I think it's good to see that. Let's talk about the depth that LAFC has, but also Ismail and what he could provide for this LAFC team.
I think that's the most important point. Like you said, the depth is the fact that he was even able to get on the field. First of all, recovering from that minor surgery that he had. He's an experienced player in this league. A few years back in NYCFC, he was their star player. He has talent, and obviously with the pieces that LAFC has, it's not easy to get all those guys on the field at the same time. But again, credit to Cherundolo's point is that he says this is a deep team and we're going to use everybody. We need everybody to be active. So it's tough when you have all these players that are very, very talented. But like JP said, I think Steve is doing a good job at rotating it because we talked about this, to being tired when it came to Bob is like, his guys and that was it. The subs were limited and rotations were limited. And I think ultimately that's what ended up being the downfall for LAFC when you started seeing players get so tired, players get so injured frequently, things like that. So it's a perfect start. And yeah, the goal, it's 100% luck. And it's an assist by by Mother Nature down in Fort Lauderdale. Like I said, typical Florida weather. But at the same time, like Alex was just talking about in the Galaxy segment, Costa got credit for that goal in the set piece. And at the end of the day, it's going to say Jory Shardy got his first goal with LAFC, 10, 15 minutes after being on the field in his debut with the team. And that's all that really matters. He was another player that spoke after the game, very happy, very excited. And it's really a dream debut if you just put it at the fact that they needed a second goal because Miami was still pressuring them. And it was him that got it. They were able to get the 3 points in Miami. So that part is great to see. I think I said it when they got him from Charlotte, he could really he could be a key contributor for this team. I don't think as a starter, as long as everybody's still healthy, but a piece that if you bring a guy like that off the bench is crazy. And then you look at just the roster as a whole in terms of depth, and this is 100% the deepest team LAFC has had. There's just, and we said it during the offseason, JT, I feel like he hit home runs with a lot of these signings.
Yep.
And I think he addressed a lot of the areas that were concerns for LAFC. And once again, if Cherundolo is able to rotate these players, that he's not just throwing the same 11 out there game after game, especially if you see the fact that that was a road game and conditions are tough. And let's be honest, LAFC's schedule hasn't been the hardest up to this, coming into this weekend and then going into the break. But then again, you have to remember that Colorado was top in the West last year, and obviously Portland's Portland. So those are just the dynamics of it. But we're going to see these players get rotated. I think this was the perfect game to make those rotations because of what happened in the last game where some players picked up injuries and some players were fatigued. But I think all in all, like the players are bought into what Steve is preaching. And to JP's point, it could be a lot of different things that are contributing to that. But I think at the end of the day, when a new coach comes in, it's just new energy. And yep. This team still has that same mentality, just with a different kind of focus, if that makes a little bit of sense. And I think that's what has that, them at this point, because they know, once again, they want to push to be top team in the league. They want to be obviously very competitive at home, which they've been in their history. But it's these little moments that we look back at these last seasons, like, hey, maybe they would have tied this game. Maybe they would have lost that game against Portland at the bank. So those little things, although it's just 3 games in, you have to take them all as positives for LAFC.
Yeah, no, I would agree. It's new energy. Like I said this last time, it's 3 games in, but I'm very impressed with Steve Cherundolo. Look, I watch any Las Vegas Lights or paid attention. I just saw the record, and when you go off a record, you can't really see. You don't. That doesn't tell you the whole story. But being in in the press calls and hearing them and stuff, the energy's different, the vibe is different, and you're right. He's doing a lot of things that Bob Bradley maybe was a little too stubborn to do, or whatever the case it was. But and the players are buying into it. 3 games in, there's 31 other games going on. So I think it's exciting to see if you're an LFC fan, because this is what you expect to win on the road and win in tough places, especially tough conditions, but also to have depth and this type of depth that they have. Um, I do want to talk about, with the player and so much competition, not everybody is going to want to potentially stay or have the same opportunity. And one of those players that appears to be on his way out is Kim Moon Wan. He's reportedly going back to the K League. He ended up coming over here for, I believe, 600,000. Steve Hahn from Goal, he said it's about $1 million transfer fee for LAFC, which I think $1 million for Kim Moon Wan. I think that is amazing if they get that. I feel like that is a steal because one, he's not even. I know he started this past weekend, but if we're being realistic, I don't see Kim Won being a right back starter. I see him coming off the bench, whether it is on the right back role or the midfield. But it looks like he's on his way out. And it's also World Cup year. I don't think he's on the World Cup roster at the moment, or he hasn't gotten that look. He's flying back in order to go back to Korea. He has to fly so far to go play games out there, in Asia, and then fly back to LA. I feel like the flight is there's many things that probably play into this, but it seems like so from some of the people I'm talking about, it's pretty much a done deal, and Kim Momon is going to be on his way out. So what does this mean for LFC, right? What does this mean for Kim Momon? Maybe they don't have that additional right back depth, but they get a lot of money from Kim Momon in that deal. They made 400,000. JP, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, Kim, I think, wants to make this World Cup. I think that's his priority, and he thinks going back to the K League, to Hyundai is best bet. He's going to the best team in Korea, or historically one of the best teams in Korea. They won the K League last year. They've won the Asian Champions League, and he's going to play the Asian Champions League, the K League, when he goes back. So that's two big competitions, and he doesn't have to fly if he gets called up to the national team. He just never really got consistent minutes here at LAFC. I think his injury, the flights, never really let him settle in. He has amazing upside, I think, but he's also not the youngest guy. So if there's a young guy you could get in the summer, just for depth, then I think you go out and get that. It's just sad that it never was able to work out, but I think that's something that JT needs to do in the summer if he leaves. Get a right back to add that depth if he leaves.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because he came here with so much hype. As a player that was going to connect with the Korean, folks that was, supporters, with the Korean supporters of LAFC. Unfortunately, it just did not work for Kim Won for whatever the reason was, and I don't think you can blame him for wanting to make that World Cup roster or anything like that. I think it's probably best for both parties because I don't know where he fit in this roster unless Escobar was not going to be able to play. We'll see what happens. But Andy, what are your thoughts on this whole Kim Moon experiment?
I feel like it's pretty surprising when I saw the rumor surface. Not expected because, like I said, the team, I feel like it was built in a right way to have those pieces on the bench whenever you need them and to rotate. And a player like him, to me, I think he's very solid. But obviously, the World Cup year, it puts a lot of things into perspective. A lot of you want to be playing if you have those aspirations. So in that sense, it does make sense. And I'm also curious if it does go down, what maybe Cherundolo has a plan. I mean, there's obviously now an abundance of center backs on this team, and we're still forgetting that Segura's recovery is going to boot somebody out of that that position eventually. I'm assuming when he gets healthy. So maybe one of those center backs shift over and kind of plays more of a right back. I don't know who that may be. It could be Biaga, could be Henry, whatever. Maybe Mamadou. Mamadou likes to attack, so maybe that's something that they experiment with. And then there's also Latif Blessing that we know that has that that history of playing in that position, that's also another option. So I think in terms of depth, it's fine if Kim does end up leaving, because the team is not defensively not short to me. And another thing is, we know Steve, his focus is on defense. So if this is a move that he's okay with making, then subsequently something there he's fine with experimenting or filling in a gap. So I think that for Kim and his personal journey, if that's what he wants to do, then that's cool. Obviously, being so far from home is a huge deal, and those flights for international break, even within the last year, we saw how much that kind of affected him in terms of like trying to get back into the mend of things, because it's not as easy as just coming from. I mean, even South America is far if we're factoring LA, but like it's still, a whole different journey to get as far as he has to go. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that does happen, how it goes down. But if it is that money that you said, that is definitely a pretty price tag for LAFC. They won't be mad at that. And the thing is, they also have room to improvise in terms of looking for players in the summer. Obviously, that DP spot is still open, so they're still actively searching to fill this roster. Maybe not as urgently as they were when the offseason started, but there's still probably going to be some players that come in if they feel the need. So if they are going to make a trade, if that move is going to happen, this is kind of the perfect time to do that, because they still have so much ahead of them in the season.
Yeah, it's early enough too. I think to me also maybe I don't know if this led to Kim Won's decision, but when I think Escobar went down, and I think was it Ryan came in at right back, and then I think Latif came in at right back instead of Kim Won coming in. That just to me told me like, or I don't know what the reason was or why Sharundle. I think he got asked, but I don't recall. But it was in Sharundle playing right back. I think he was a right back for the U.S. men's national team. He was not initial. It seemed like Kim Won was not in the plans at all initially. I know he got the start, but he obviously got the start out of necessity, and maybe I don't know, maybe they wanted to keep him and stuff like that. But I think I just think he's just not one of Sharundolo's guys right off the back. And I think it just didn't work out. But you're gonna be able to come out on top and make 400,000, even though it didn't work out. Kim gets to go back when he gets to play in the K League and get a shot to play and get a shot at playing in the World Cup potentially. But I also think another positive, it opens up an international slot. It opens up an international slot, so you could use that maybe for another midfielder or something, or they can pick up another right back within the league. I just don't think, for me, like, you don't got to go that far to pick up defenders and goalkeepers in the MLS. I feel like when you use that more in the offense, midfield, and all those different things, they can pick up another solid right back within the league. I don't know who, but I don't think it's going to be hard to find another backup role. And on top of that, they're not paying Kim Won 600,000 to ride the bench. You know what I'm saying? So financially, LAFC are going to be better off, and I think playing wise, Kim Won is going to be better off if he goes to the K League. So I think it's a win-win for both parties, both situations. It's unfortunate that didn't happen, and maybe the next Korean player that comes into here, the next player that comes from Asia, gets a shot at it. But I'm glad that Kim Won did it. I'm glad that LAFC at least attempted to do it. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. And I think it's time to move on, and we'll see how Sharundolo is going to fill that role, because we got to see how Escobar does, because that's the biggest thing. Because if Escobar is injury prone and he's not able to play the next game, does Ryan go to the right back position? Like who steps up in his place? Who would you want to step up in his place, JP?
I think the answer is Latif Blessing and Mamadou Fall at right back, and then you could play Acosta at left back, or Ryan if Palacios stays injured for next game. There's coverage, but it's just not natural right back coverage. You just have to put somebody out of position. Yes, Latif has played right back, but we all know it's not his best or his true position. Mamadou Fall can also play right back because he's just fast, athletic, can run down that flank. But if you really want to develop him, to stay up, keep him at center back. There's coverage there. It's not like the right back spot is fully exposed with Moon being gone. But it's a easy. Gaines can come from the lights. He's a right back, so we can get him minutes. So there's people that can cover. But it could also be an easy fix. Just wait for the summer and get a right back to provide depth and competition for Escobar.
Yeah, no, you make a good point. Andy, I want to talk to you about Ilya Sanchez. He makes team of the week. I think this is the second time this year he makes team of the week. What are your thoughts on Ilya Sanchez so far? 3 games in.
Man, he's knocking it out the park for baseball terms since baseball is back. I think behind Maxime Crepeau, that's the best offseason acquisition that LAFC had. Complete steal. I think that in terms of because this is always a business where you're going to compare players to players and stuff like that. In terms of a comparison to what Atuesta was for LAFC, I just think that Ilie is obviously more defensively sound because he doesn't have to produce as much moving forward. And obviously, there's players in LAFC that could take the little bit of that heat off of him. I just think he's so solid, though. He's such a smart player. He clearly fits in well with the team, and I think that he has shown in every game his capacity to really have an impact in many different ways. But like I said, defensively, he's so solid, and I think the thing about him is he's very calm. He seems like he's been in the league, so he knows how it is. But I think he's so calm on the ball. He's so composed. You haven't seen him really be flustered in many of these situations. And I think for LAFC, that's huge because once again, when Atuesta was here and the talk about trying to replace him, which we all were like, oh, it's going to be impossible. He was, the best player that LAFC ever had, and this and that, whatever. But it's like, it seems like such an easy transition. And me saying this, being obviously a huge Atuesta fan, is crazy, but it has been such a seamless transition because of who LAFC surrounded him with. So I think he's been solid. To me, hands down the best player in these first 3 games for LAFC. He's really, really good. It really comes down to that. And the fact that LAFC was able to snag him in the offseason and kind of pair him up with somebody like Helen Acosta and the other people that they have is incredible. So I'm excited to keep watching him this year, man. He's been really good.
Yeah, to me initially, I was like, I don't know how they're gonna replace Atuesta because it's Atuesta. It's hard to replace a player like that. And the second thing is like, how if you're SKC, do you let Sanchez walk away? And I don't understand how they let him go, what why it happened, but good for LAFC because and good for Elias Sanchez because he's a solid player. You're seeing things that, like you say, so defensive minded, but he's doing certain things in that midfield that maybe that are getting noticed, but it's like you really get to see how elite he really is and how well he really understands the league and his position and what he needs to do. I'm just blown away. I'm honestly blown away that SKC, for whatever reason, couldn't sign him again because they also had a solid squad. JP, what are your thoughts on Sanchez?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's great. I think he's been the most consistent player, like Andy said, these first 3 games. I mean, he also wanted to come here. He said he wanted to come play for LAFC. He wanted to be in the bank. He wanted to, know what it feels like playing in the black and gold with the 32-52, chanting for you and not against you. So I think that's another positive. He wants to be here. But yeah, like I said, the first game, his defensive movements, his defensive pressing is just so underrated. He's never going to get the spotlight on him, but his work is just great. He can also ping you a ball. You saw the ball he was able to ping Vela in the first game. He's not the offensive threat. That's more or less Costa and Sifu's job. But he plays it simple. He has Barca DNA. He comes from La Masia, so he can easily get the ball, release it, and it's just so nice and effortless from him.
Yeah, no, overall very impressed. What he has going on. So LAFC come back home. They play Vancouver on Sunday at 7 p.m. That's gonna be another exciting game. Big game for them this Sunday. Another, they're gonna have 2 games to warm up till El Tráfico. That's April 9th. That's when El Tráfico is. So you got
The return of
Vancouver, then you
Tristan
got Orlando
Blackman.
City. Say that again.
The return of Tristan Blackman to the bank.
Oh yeah, Tristan Blackman. Yeah, I forgot about Tristan Blackman. That's gonna be
Hector
exciting to
Santos
see him.
and Maxine against their old team. And Doniel Henry used to play for Vancouver in the while back. So
It's a big one.
Yeah,
And
no, it's good.
JP mentioned a good point, and Gio, you kind of touched on this earlier, but salute to the 32-52. I think a player like Ilie saying that he wants to come to LAFC obviously has a lot to do with a lot of things, but the fan base is from the beginning has put a lot of pressure on the league, being so supportive, being so active. And we see teams, a lot of teams have away days, but 32-52, man, they're amazing going down there to Fort Lauderdale. And seeing a player like Maxime Crepeau, who is like infatuated with the fan base in just 3 games, is great to see because that really speaks volumes to the pressure and the atmosphere that these players felt coming into the bank as opponents, and now being able to feel that as members of LAFC. So salute to the fans. I'm sure Sunday is going to be great. Like I said, they like to make the bank a tough place to play, so it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, no, I think that's what what was amazing. I think that I forgot who posted the video, but it was the 3252 singing in the rain and all that. And it's good to see, right? We've come a long way from, where the MLS is at, and be able to have those fan bases. Because like from LA to Miami, it's not a cheap flight, but it's also a flight you kind of want to make. Some of those games, it's not the worst flight. It's not the worst place in the world, but also it wasn't the best weather from what we saw. It was windy, it was rainy, But I think it's exciting when you see how well the 3252 travels and how loud they are. And you make a good point. How Maxine is infatuated with 3052, and they really love having that type of support wherever they go. And it's hard because not every team can do that. But LAC so far has been able to do in the first 5 years, have been consistent with doing that no matter where they travel. And I think it's also an amazing thing to see, especially in this league, as this league grows and everybody around the league, tries to say that they have the best fan base. But when you do the away days, I think that's where I think some of the fan base separate themselves from the other ones. So yeah, I think that's gonna wrap things up, guys. Like I said, Sunday, Vancouver Whitecaps against LAFC, and then Orlando, and then El Tráfico. So just 3 games away before we have the first El Tráfico of the season. I cannot wait for that. It's
Let's
gonna be
pray for
good.
Vela Chicharito, man. Let's pray.
Vela Chicharito, please, God, just give us one game with those two healthy starting going out, because we deserve one game as fans, as media folks, as people that just want to see the best players in LA play against each other. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. So I want to thank Andy and JP for hopping on, and everybody tuning in the comments. So that's gonna wrap things up, and we'll catch you guys next time. Bye, everybody.